Hello. Would you like to see something I've been working on? Just a little teaser? Well, I'm not going to give you a choice. Here it is. P.S. Count the trophies on the left right here. Pause if you like. That's all you're getting for now. Haha! So, what have I been up to? Well, first of all, trying to build up my replays and gather footage for, I don't know, just making a video, right? Then there's also the new Monster Hunter Wilds beta that came out for this weekend. Then there's also No Man's Sky, which has had a bunch of updates and looks amazing. And then there was also the whole PlayStation server maintenance crash shenanigans hoodalally. But hey, that's not what this video is about. Let's get on to what really matters. Rhamph, as always. So today I've got 3 fights, encounters, scenarios, whatever you want to call them. All on Rhamph. And hey, I found them quite fun. And I hope you do too. So with all that out of the way, I hope you all enjoy. So to start off, Molcrom was chasing an Iggy and pretty much almost had it dead. It was also a random Campto attacking it. Sadly, I had failed to actually take the trophy first off, but this little Campto right here, they decided to try and give it to Molcrom, and so I ended up stealing it as they tried. Though not without, taking a couple of hits when I was trying to get some stamina afterwards. Had Molcrom not been on cooldown, I wouldn't have taken it in the first place, so that is why I did. Anyway, I went and delivered it at the home cave in Desolate, and then made my way back to Crater, where Molcrom and Saka and Frozen were all fighting a group in there. There seemed to be 2 Tyranno Titans and a Rex to start off, though it didn't take very long for there to be a 3rd Tyranno Titan to join the fray against Molcrom and Saka. And let's just say, Molcrom and Saka are just absolutely shredding through them. As you saw, Molcrom already killed one before I even entered the crater. And let's just say, their teamwork as usual is impeccable. They're pretty much just forcing both of these two together so that if they attack one, then the other one would end up hitting their friend in order to defend them. I ended up pouncing the Tyranno Titan and just sacrificing my lucky feather just in order to, reduce their bleed healing as much as I could. I'd personally say it's still worth it, as what ends up happening is that this Tyranno Titan ends up running into the water, and it ends up getting attacked by the Spino that was attacked by the group beforehand. As usual, people running into water, thinking that they are going to be safe no matter what. But now Molcrom and Saka are quite hurt, and are bleeding quite heavily thanks to fighting Tyranno Titans, so they're gonna go and heal. Sadly, they are being pursued by 2 albino Stegos, along with the rest of Crater who are thinking about possibly finishing off some low-health Tyranno Titans, to their knowledge at least. I say to their knowledge at least because, hey, face-tanking a Tyranno Titan head-on pretty much, not the best move, especially for a Hats. And after seeing the death scars on Saka at this point, I know that the Stegos are still after them. So I decided to fly over to Sharptooth to grab any sort of healing fish that I could, just so that I could catch up and give them a healing buff. I invited Saka because I knew they had the lowest health, and just to make it easier to actually find them. They ran over to Triad Falls, just to get away from the group that could possibly just switch their dinos and pursue them even further. Though they haven't had much of a chance to heal due to still being chased by the Stegos. Thankfully for Saka in this case, they ended up staying out of combat enough that I could actually use my fishy breath buff to give them some extra healing. And so, it didn't take very long for Saka and Morcrom to get enough health back to feel comfortable in going after these Stegos again. And let's just say that as soon as Saka got enough bleed on one of these Stegos, all I really had to do was just keep it bleeding the entire time as it ran away, just leaving the one Stego left for Saka to deal with, though Morcrom did also pretty much help out with that. But as for this Stego right here, I've been stacking it up with Scab Picker, cutting its bleed healing in half, and it's also been hit by the bleed reduction call from Tyranno Titan. So that right there is an 85% bleed heal reduction for this Stego right here. And yes, I was hit by a tail attack and it popped my lucky feather, so I'm kind of taking a risk with doing this. But all I really need to do is just stop this Stego from being able to sit down. And anytime it tries to do a charge tail to hit me off its side, well, that's a nice little opening for me to, well, hop back on. And as I said, if it sits down, I hop on, and it stands up again. Then it sits down again, I hop on, and it stands up again. And eventually it ends up hearing Morcrom come in, where it ends up panicking, running further, and expiring. Becoming a delicious meal. Now, this one is less of anything serious or tactical, and more of just a funny clip, in my opinion. So, Morcrom is sitting on the side of a cliff, trying to stay away from a group that's been in Crater fighting him for quite a while. And it consists of, at this moment, just a Patchy, a Concavinator, an Anno, and a Megalania. But there are some Hazigopteryx in the area, which we're pretty much just assuming is trying to find their one opportunity to finish him off. But yeah, he's around, I don't know, 10, maybe 15% health at most, and this is where an Anno ends up jumping down, losing most of its health, and Morcrom decides to add as much bleed as it can before it can actually hunker. And so now all at this point I've got to do is hop onto it and stack up Scab Picker on it, reducing its bleed heal rate by half, which was then followed up by Morcrom also popping his bleeding call to reduce its bleed heal rate by 35% again. And then all I've got to do is make sure that I pounce it at least once every 20 seconds to make sure that the Scab Picker doesn't fall off. And then we can just sit around the Anno fire and watch it tick down to nothing. Now, Annos are quite tricky for using your pounces on. Not because, hopping onto an Anno is difficult, but more like hopping off of an Anno without getting hit and having your lucky feather popped. That is the difficult part. As all an Anno really needs to do is be patient and not really, constantly panic swing the entire time, trying to hit you with its tail slam. It just needs to try and predict when you're going to hop off and then use it before you can actually gain flight. Though it seems that the bleed on this Anno did eventually actually just fall off, and so Morcrom finished it very quickly. This was then followed up by him trying to leave the edge of Crater and having the Patchy there that went for him for some reason got attacked twice with a normal bite and heavy bite, and then fell to their death. Nice. Which was yet again being followed up by two Hatzes following Morcrom the entire time. One of them was really getting a little overly confident with doing friendly calls and all that. So Morcrom ended up just saying, "Hey, I'm not interested," and just attacking them on the spot. They ended up flying off and landing on this rock, kind of close to the delivery tree of Grand Plains, and I spotted them right there, and so did Morcrom. And so I decided to pounce it so that it wouldn't be able to fly, and it seems that Morcrom read my mind, as I was willing to sacrifice my lucky feather for this beautiful little I don't know, mind read synergy between us. I salute you, Morcrom. So, before this one actually starts, you know those times when you get a random invite to a waystone, right? And you don't know them. They've never invited you to anything like that. Obviously, you just don't know them. And you can obviously assume that they're probably just wanting you to accept it, you know, and take the waystone. And then they just kill you at the waystone while you're getting up, right? Well, here's what you should do. You should just accept it and not teleport. Because if they are one of those people who are just going to kill you at the waystone, they're just standing there waiting for you to actually appear. At that point, it's just like, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you. Wait, 2 minutes has passed by. Why is nothing happening? Yeah, I just like to waste their time. Either way, let's get on to what's happening for this one. So, I came over into Grand Plains, and apparently there's quite a little group fight here. So, there's 2 Tyrannotitans attacking a Rex, and another Tyrannotitan attacking an Amaga and a Lambio. It seems that the Amaga and Lambio is Frozen and Saka. There also happens to be a Cerato and a Concavenator in the area that are with the 2 Tyrannotitans. Morcrom is also here on his Tyrannotitan because I'd say he is even more obsessed with Tyrannotitan than Gooser is. So first up, we have the 2 Tyrannotitans chasing after Saka's Amaga, while then Morcrom has kind of peeled off the Cerato and the Concavenator just to keep their attention off of Saka and Frozen on their Lambio. Every time that the Tyrannotitans end up biting Saka, they add a little bit of bleed to themselves, thanks to Amaga's recoil damage, which I can also just make last a little bit longer thanks to Scab Picker on Rhamph. Though, let's be honest, it's a damn Amaga trying to run away from Tyrannotitans. It's pretty much Meals on Wheels still, right? Especially towards Tyrannotitans of all things. They're kind of just made to outlast it. And with Bleed of all things as well, kind of just perfectly counters the Lambio of all things. So they decide to move towards the river with the Tyrannotitans, the Cerato, and the Concavenator following behind. And Morcrom is kind of keeping his distance because he's actually quite hurt, and if he went in, he would just get mobbed by 2 Tyrannotitans. Saka and Frozen decide they want to move north up the river, with the Cerato and the Concavenator following behind a lot closer. I was trying to kind of slow down the Tyrannotitans. All I can really do, though, is kind of just slow down their stamina regen by stopping them from sitting, or perhaps plaguing them so that they have slower stamina regen. Though, let's be honest, there's only so much that can do. And also, with the Cerato pretty much on their case the entire time, they have next to no chance to heal outside of, well, a Lambio heal call, right? I mean, Lambio heal calls are always great, but not when you've been bitten by a Tyrannotitan. And any chance they get to punish the Cerato is kind of ruined by the fact the Tyrannotitan is there, and pretty much all I can do to peel the Cerato off is kind of just pounce the Tyrannotitan and maybe take its attention away from them too. But yeah, there's really not much I can do other than just plague the Tyrannotitan for less stamina regen, which in this situation is really not much help at all, except for maybe just a distraction. And so now here, I actually found pretty damn funny at the time, because we have Saka and Frozen crossing the river, and they've kind of just baited the Tyrannotitan and the Sarah and the Conch to try and cross the river. Now, at first glance, you'd think, what would be the problem here? Well, you need to remember that the knockback on Amaga's tail is very, very good. And Amaga has a pretty good sweep on its tail as well. And so what ended up happening here was that Saka on their Amaga ended up forcing this Tyrannotitan to just give up on trying to cross the river, as they were possibly going to just keep getting knocked down into the water and possibly drown before they'd be able to get any progress. And so right afterwards, the Concavenator decides that, hey, maybe sleeping would be a good choice here, and almost pays with his life. Though they got kind of lucky that the Serato was, I don't know, quick on their feet to do a shove and save them. But at this point, as I have already said, there really is not much that I can do other than just, I don't know, limit their stam regen by just stopping them from sitting, although that doesn't really do anything in this situation except for just make them impatient. It's turned into a little bit of a standoff with a body of water between them. But since the Tyrannotitans know that they won't be able to really cross without possibly being drowned by an Amaga, they decide to move away from the river. But hey, look, they have an aloe now. I don't know when that joined the fray, but hey, they have it. And so as they moved away from the river, Sokka and Frozen decided to cross back over, and decided to follow up slowly behind them. Though, behind Sokka and Frozen is still the Serato and the Concavinator. So we keep following them inland for a little bit, and all I'm really doing is just keeping up my annoyance, do my job as a Rhamph. You know, things like my little Houdini trick right here. I feel so much satisfaction every time I land that. But while I was doing that, Sokka was engaging with the aloe, just dealing whatever damage they could, which ended up springing the Tyrannotitans into action, along with the Concavinator and Serato attacking the Lambio, which ended up forcing them to run back towards the river, though thankfully, Morcrom had shown up, and he's got full health now, so he was actually able to peel off the Tyrannotitans to follow him instead of, well, the Amaga and Lambio, in which what are they up to? Well, they ended up getting the Serato to kill their own conch. Sadly, it was at the cost of the Lambio's life. And in the time that Morcrom was being chased by both of them, he ended up taking quite a lot of damage. Just because, well, you're being chased by two of the same species as you. It just makes sense that, you know, it's going to be an uphill battle right there. Though, the entire time, I am still trying to just use Scab Picker to reduce their bleed healing, just to add any extra pressure that I can. Any time that they spend bleeding is time that they spend in combat, which is time that they are spending not healing, while Morcrom is still making distance and, well, just trying to heal. And so at this point, they seem to have split up their group. One Aloe and one Tyrannotitan are going after Morcrom's Tyrannotitan, and one Serato and one Tyrannotitan is going after Sokka's Amaga. I'm sorry, I kind of just find it funny seeing a Tyrannotitan actually sprinting away from an Amaga, though it was just for, you know, that armor core that Tyrannotitan has. Now, I ended up finding a pike, which ends up giving you 20% stamina regen, which I can also share with a group member using Fishy Breath. And since Morcrom is being chased by another Tyrannotitan and an Aloe, it would definitely come in handy. And while he is regenning stamina, I can also still just plague the other Tyrannotitan to reduce their stamina regen. Though there seemed to be a Thalassadromius that has actually been helping out this entire time, and I have no idea who it is, but hey, I ain't gonna, you know, I ain't gonna say no to it. Would you? Though, dear lord, they almost just met Jesus right there. Wait, how would they meet Jesus? Dinosaurs were before Jesus. Dinosaur Jesus. There we go. Where was I? Oh yeah, just plaguing the Tyrannotitan, just so they have slower stamina regen than Morcrom, while he has the Fishy Breath buff. The next problem we ran into was that Morcrom got caught up to by the Tyrannotitan because he was drinking, and had to cross the river. They did end up following Morcrom into the river at first, in which Sokka jumped into action to possibly try and just keep knocking them into water over and over again with their tail attack. Sadly, they were just a little bit too slow on that, and, well, as you can see, they are pretty much almost dead yet again. Forcing Saka to cross the river yet again, and thanks to the knowledge that they would just keep getting hit by the tail attack in water, they dare not follow Saka. Although, these guys did make quite a smart decision. One of the Tyrannotitans and the Cerato did not cross the river in the first place. They decided just to keep them on this side of the river and get the other guys to cross over, meaning that, well, Morcrom has even less of a chance to get any health back, really. And so he keeps trying to make distance from the other Tyrannotitan, does a little bit of parkour, somehow. I have no idea how he ended up getting down this without taking no damage. I'm gonna start calling him Parkour Crom. Sadly though, Sarah ends up following him down, and they end up hearing Saka running over by the river. They make a quick turn and end up finishing them off, before continuing their pursuit of Morcrom. But hey, guess what? Frozen on their Lambio has ended up coming back. They ended up just walking, or running, their way back here. And so at this point, Morcrom is making his way down into Younggrove. And with me stalling the Tyrannotitans as much as I can, stopping them from sitting and getting stamina as much as I can, the only thing they can really send to actually catch up to Morcrom and make sure that he stays in combat and can't heal is the Cerato. In which, once that's out of the way, then he can actually make some space and get a chance to actually get some health back. We got a little bit lucky that Frozen was able to knock it into the water, in which Morcrom was able to actually get some bleed on it and some good damage on it. In which I took any chance I could to deal anything, or just make this situation even just a touch easier. Though, I almost lost my life in the process. And like that, finally, Morcrom now is able to actually make some space from the Tyrannotitans without being put in combat by something he cannot get away from. A perfect situation for a comeback. As I always say, Guy is like a cockroach. He is so difficult to kill. You can get close as many times as you want, but you better put in the effort to finish him off, otherwise he is just gonna be a pain in the ass. So he ended up walking into the west side of Grand Plains, and is still being followed by at least one of the Tyrannotitans. Though he's at least not alone in terms of a damage dealer, as Frozen is there on their lamb, at least just to take a little bit of attention. But oh wait, look at that. Who's this? Oh, it's Saka on their Tyrannotitan. I would say this was perfect timing for Saka to show up, because also, the other Tyranno ended up showing up just in time also. So Saka has stacked up a decent amount of bleed onto one of the Tyrannos, adding a little bit of pressure to them. Though, it seems that Morcrom was now feeling comfortable with the amount of health he was able to get, as now he was able to actually help out Saka with this fight. And so, the two Tyrannotitans, they seemed to just split up, and Morcrom and Saka ended up, well, doing exactly to this one Tyrannotitan what, those two Tyrannotitans were doing to Morcrom. In other words, just taking it in turns, right? Which, needless to say, did not take long. But, what about that other Tyrannotitan? Well, they were pretty much still stacked to the gills, if they had gills, with bleed, and, well, I'm just pretty much keeping up the scab picker on them the entire time. Let's just say they were kept distracted very well by Frozen the entire time, while Saka and Morcrom were dealing with the other Tyrannotitan. And I am very happy to say this, because I don't get to see it very often. I actually managed to get an actual bleed-out kill with Rhamph. It's so rare. I am so happy to see it. Of course, I'm not the one that put the bleed there, but hey, I kept it up. I'll take it. This was actually quite an interesting fight. They weren't just a group of just Apexes, they seemed to actually have quite a bit of strategy there. They had pokers, harassers, and bleeders in their group. They had big damage dealers. They decided not to all follow one person at the same time. You know, that they actually used the area to their advantage. Yeah, what can I say? Fun fight. They were quite smart. It's just a shame that because it's Morcrom, and he is such a pain to actually catch, hey, what can you say? Fun fight. And so here we are at the end. I don't really have much to add onto, you know, what I can say about this video. I can't lie, because it's Path of Titans. It's the same old, you know, we all know it, we all understand, right? I think we're all just waiting for some sort of update that actually changes the game a little bit, and maybe changes how we play a little bit, you know what I mean? Maybe move away from the fishbowl kind of deal. Something maybe to spice up the game, because let's be honest, this you know, the Serato TLC did nothing to the game. It's pretty much back to same old, right? It didn't even last like 2 or 3 days, did it? Let's be honest. Of course, we see a few more Sarahs, but hey, we saw a few more Sarahs before when Sarahs still had Fracture. So, yeah, that's a thing. I guess what I'm excited about mainly for this game is more just the project video that I'm working on that I teased at the beginning of the video. Yeah, I'm having fun with working on that, though it is actually gonna be one of the... Not gonna be, it is the hardest one that I've had to work on so far. Even just that little bit right there took twice the amount of effort to get the same amount of footage as before. Just because it's so specific and it's so pointed towards, you know, a specific thing. I'm really looking forward to, you know, continuing working through it. But that's enough of my rambling. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye.